Okay, so um, this is going to be on the Pelt modifier, or well, not Pelt modifier, but Pelt mapping. Um, Basically, I wish I would have known this way back in the day, because originally when I was messing with this model, I had very a lot of difficulty getting the ears and the eyes to match with the rest of the face, and that's because of the way the UV or unwrap UV modifier, UVW modifier, um, created the seams for my model. With pelt mapping, it's used on organic type models, and I'm just going to kind of go through it real quick. I'm going to do it on his shirt. I already did it on his face and his ears and head and neck already, but I figured I'd just quickly show how it can be relatively easy to create what you need to have done on an organic type of model. And I just wish I had known about this earlier, but it was further on down my list, and now that I've gotten to it, I'm going to utilize it in the future because it makes it so much easier. All right, once the seam is done, then basically you'll select the polygon inside of where you just made your new seam. You'll say select polygons, two seams, or what does it say? Expand polygon selection, two seams. So basically what I just did is I highlighted only the front of the shirt so that I could edit the design if I wanted to add some type of design just on the front of it. So what I'll do now is when I open up my Pelt Mapper, it'll show this stretch. These are the stretch marks that it goes from. And so I click Start Pelt, and it'll stretch out the shirt basically. Stop Pelt, and then you can do a Start Relax to kind of get, sometimes it's supposed to give you better shrink. This one, I guess, kind of expands underneath the side of his arms or whatnot. So I'll probably just do a Start Pelt, stretch it all back out again. And that'll give me kind of like the t-shirt type of thing that I'm going for. The other thing that I could do is, since these arms, I wanted to expand it just a little bit more, I could select those vertices and kind of stretch those out just a little bit further. I kind of want to do that on both. So I'm going to select them and make sure that I don't have this vertex because I want to keep that where it is. That one leads to right there. So technically I want to make sure I get all of the things that go where they're supposed to go. So like I want it to stop stretching at this corner. So I want to make sure that that corner stays with the rest of the pelt map, if that makes sense. So I want to make sure that that stays in that circle. Same with this one. Scoot it down just a little bit more, make it so it kind of only stretches my arm that I'm going for. And that one has two. Stretch that back over to there. And then I'll select just that one, raise it up a little bit more, and bring this one down a little bit further. And then at that point, I can say Start Pelt, and I'll stretch it a little bit further. I guess I got those pulled a little further out on the opposite side. I can kind of do this a little bit straighter, I guess. So maybe more like that. Start Pelt. So it'll stretch everything, give me a little bit better of the side over here, and then if I really wanted to, I could adjust each of these things on the side and make it more t-shirt like. And that way it'll stretch it to the angles and everything that I want. So I'll go ahead and work on this for a second, and then I'll come back. One thing I do want to bring up is you have to move it by actually clicking on where the vertice would be, because I'm in vertex mode right now. You could do it by edges as well, but I just find that adjusting vertices is typically simpler for myself, and that's just a personal preference on that. So once you have it all adjusted to how you'd think that you'd want it to be in, basically, you'll hit the start pelt and relax and whatnot and see if you got it to your specifications and where you wanted everything to go. Basically, you got to think of it as like if you're actually, well, I don't know if anyone's actually gone hunting or whatnot, where you have to stretch out the actual hide or whatnot to get it to dry and tan properly. But at least that's what's been told. It's been a long time since I've done it. So anyway, it's stretched like this. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Start Pelt. It'll stretch back out. Gives me more of a t-shirt type design. That's good enough for me. Looks good to me. Might shrink those two sides in a little bit more because these aren't quite even. I might actually. Anyway, my logo would basically go right there. So at that point, you hit commit. Once you hit commit, it'll add it to the rest of your UVs that you've mapped. As you can tell, I already have a face in the back of the head and the neck defined. At this point, you can take your scale tool and you can scale it down so it's not going to use as much space, depending on how much detail you want to add to each thing. You can shrink or enlarge them. The rest of this mess over here is all the other UVs that have not been mapped, and that would be, you basically just keep doing the same type of thing. Polygon, select the polygon, and then I could go expand, but the problem is I haven't selected the rest of the model, so therefore it makes the whole rest of the model selected. If I wanted to do just the other side of the shirt or whatnot, I would select this, and basically I'd start at my previous seam, which would be this one, and I would bring it down and around to line up with the other one. So I'll just do that real fast so you can see. So the nice thing is since I've already done other seams on this, I didn't have to do nearly as many seams. So at this point, I could just select an individual. Oops. It would help if I got off the actual mapping of this. So now I have to edit that and then subtract this one and then get off that. So then I can unselect and I can select a single polygon, select it, and now I have the back part of the shirt, in which I can do the same thing where I can just pelt it, and that actually looks kind of good the way it is. But if I don't move the pelt the way I want it, it'll just stretch it and give me that same strange design where it's kind of all stretched out or whatnot. You can also stop the pelt. You could reset it at any time. But typically, if you start it and stretch it a little bit, it makes it a little easier to adjust those additional vertices. So then you can click commit, and you got the other side of the shirt. And let me shrink that down. And continue to do that basically for the entire person or character, or whatever you're working on. And when you're done, you will have your UV maps designed to how you want versus how the machine defined them. And that could mean a lot less time of you having to try to decipher where parts are, because you know where they are because you designed them the way that you wanted them to be designed. So I'm going to go ahead and call that good or whatnot. And then I'll probably add a logo on the front of the shirt in Photoshop, and then submit that as like the actual picture for this pelt mapping thing. Yeah, so thank you.